The time is finally here. It is officially week 1 of the NFL season. That means we get to bring back my favorite series I do every season. It is 5 moves to make heading into week 1 of the fantasy season. Obviously, we are sticking with Dynasty. This is a Dynasty channel. So move number 1, it is to fill your taxi squad and finalize the guys that are going to be in that for the rest of the season. Most leagues typically lock that right before kickoff of week 1. So that Thursday night game will be when these taxi squads lock. Now, you need to be smart about who you put there. You should not be putting handcuff running backs, rookie running backs, players that could potentially find themselves starting in your lineups during the season. What I typically want to do is put day 3 wide receivers, right? A guy like Tyler Scott, as a Bears fan for me, comes to mind because there could be a change in situation next year. I don't expect really anything from him this season. So Tyler Scott is a perfect taxi squad ad. Otherwise, you have guys like Aiden O'Connell, right? Backup rookie quarterbacks. I typically don't want to play them. If I'm playing them, something has likely gone terribly wrong. So I'd rather just keep Aiden O'Connell, Hendon Hooker on the taxi squad. I think that's the best thing to do. Or you could even look at tight ends, right? Luke Musgrave is a perfect name to throw on your taxi squad because even as a rookie with a potential role, he's likely not going to be super fantasy relevant. He's a long-term play. So day 3 wide receivers, rookie tight ends, maybe not Dalton Kincaid or Sam Laporta, but the rest of your rookie tight ends, and then rookie quarterbacks that are not slated to start during the season. Number 2, it is decide, or at least have an idea of if you are rebuilding or competing this season. This is going to affect a number of different decisions over the course of the year, so at least having an idea week 1 is going to help you a lot, right? If you're rebuilding, you can monitor different trade targets than if you're contending, right? Contenders are going to look at Tyler Lockett, Keenan Allen, Calvin Ridley because he's getting close to 30, right? Guys like that. Whereas rebuilders can look at Michael Pittman or other young wide receivers that are talented and in bad situations because I don't really care what they do this season if I'm rebuilding. I just want to go out and get talent. So that is going to dictate a lot of things. It's also going to affect how you set your lineup. Because if you're a rebuilder and your league doesn't have anything against tanking, well, I'm not going to set a good lineup, right? I'm going to throw valuable players on a taxi squad. Depending on how my league does decide that draft order moving forward, it's going to dictate how you set your lineups. So understand, or at least have an idea of if you are going full rebuild, you're contending, you're somewhere in the middle and ascending or descending, right? Understand that ahead of week 1. Number 3, it is go out and scoop up those handcuff running backs that are still sitting on the waiver wire. This actually applies to both rebuilders and contenders because the idea is handcuff running backs are an injury away from potentially being fantasy relevant. So if I'm a contender, I want handcuffs because they could potentially land in my starting lineup in a pinch. If I'm a rebuilder, I want to add any handcuff running back because they could find themselves as the starter during the season for an extended period of time, and you can flip those assets because they have immediate value to the contending rosters, right? If I can scoop up a handcuff and get a third, ideally a second round pick during a stretch they're starting games, that's great. Like that is the ideal situation, right? Add, flip, profit. That is what I would like as a rebuilder. Handcuff running backs are the easiest value adds right now, right? Guys like Keontae Ingram, Zamir White, if he's sitting out there, Pierre Strong, Kevin Harris potentially, like deep handcuffs. These are guys to throw onto the end of your bench if you have the open roster spots. To number 4, this one is fun. It's exciting. Set your lineup. You get to actually set your lineups. We have been talking about strategy and trade targets and buy low, sell high, all this other crap, and none of it mattered until right now, right? We've always said you do not have a roster need in August. You do not have a roster need in July, June, whatever else. Well, it is September. You officially have roster needs. You need to fill your lineup out, right? If you're a contender, make your final moves and fill out your starting lineup to get yourself to the best place to compete. If you're a rebuilding team, understand, again, like I said earlier, can you tank? Can you not tank? That is going to dictate how you set your lineups. Everything we have talked about now matters from a true, consequential standpoint. Points matter. We have games, we have matchups. This is what we have waited for. Go and set your lineups finally. And number 5, just prepare for nothing to make sense in a month. We're going to get to week 5 and nothing is going to make sense because that is fantasy football, right? Expect the unexpected, the annoying cliche.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
It's true, especially in fantasy. Every year, things just kind of go crazy. It could be week 2, week 3, week 4. We have unexpected breakouts. We have unexpected busts. You have injuries. Everything's going to go sideways. just prepare for that, right? Be ready. If you're contending, have depth, have the ability to withstand nonsense. If you're a rebuilder, be ready to pivot if your team suddenly is in a spot that is much more competitive than you expected. Just prepare for nothing to make sense in like a month. So that's it, guys. As always, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.